Well, looks like Wisconsin's gonna fucking burn tonight. All 5 charges. All 5 fucking charges. Not guilty. Unfucking real. If you don't know what white privilege looks like, look no goddamn further. Look no fucking further. He got away with murder and gets to walk scot-free. Unfucking believable.
Coming to you live from deep within an icy, well, it's mostly just snowy right now, radioactive wasteland. This is
we are the
survivors of the alt-right alt-right blah, blah. I'm sorry,
apocalypse.
Apocalypse. Okay.
Are you drunk, Alison?
No, I am not drunk. You know what actually has happened is somewhere. Yeah, okay, there we go.
Your brain lost the script.
Yes, exactly.
Coming to you
live from deep within an icy radioactive wasteland. We are the survivors of the alt-right apocalypse. The few, the brave, the bitchy, once more wading into battle against the froggy zombie lobster hordes with Rantzerker insert number.
Who cares?
Rantzerker number 144. Vice hunts the dreaded incels and are losing their mind.
Oh, God. Oh, you know, Brian, you tried to warn me. I could have bailed.
I said Vice. I told you when I said Vice, that should be everything you needed to know.
Okay, but I'm just saying this is... Okay, I just renegotiated my mortgage for a 11 to 12% reduction in my mortgage payments.
Yeah.
And a really nice low interest rate locked in for 5 years. And you know that the Fed and, you know, that goes for the Bank of Canada too, they're going to have to raise interest rates to curb inflation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I locked it in nice and low and reduced my mortgage payments by like $160 a month. And now you've ruined my day. I was going to send that woman flowers, okay?
Now you're going to send her spiders.
I just want to send her a dead rat in a bag.
But she has nothing to do with this. This is so irrational.
All I gotta say is, like, you're going to subject me to vice.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare for me to start behaving irrationally.
Yeah.
All right. So
I
would also.
I want to ask Karen something not related to this video after, but go ahead and say it.
All right. So we're gonna do this Vice article, which is hunting the incels.
Well, it's a video.
And our video. I apologize. That's okay. I just want to remind everyone that we are doing our monthly fundraiser to support Brian, Prim, and Hannah. And we will do shout outs to anybody who supports during the stream. So please do go to feedthebadger.com or directly at feedthebadger.com/project/badger-media-blitz. That's badger-media-blitz. And throw whatever you can in the hat for Brian, Prim, and Hannah. Every little bit helps. So don't think that, whatever you can spare is not enough, because every bit gets us over the line at the end of the day. So that's badgerfeed.com, and we will do shout outs to anybody who supports during the stream. So please do. All right, go ahead, Brian.
Okay. So I just wanted to ask you this, because I was having a conversation with Alison yesterday when I was doing the fundraising stream, and we talked a bit about guilty pleasures, which are basically what in this context specifically, it's like a movie or a show.
Like when I watch Teen Mom, like
those reality shows, or a film that is generally hated by everyone except you. So what is your guilty pleasure in terms of like maybe a movie or something?
Oh, okay. I don't know how guilty I should feel over this, but every now and then when everything gets too much, making your way in the world today takes everything
you've got. Yeah.
Yeah. taking a break from all your worries sure would make the channel
Sure would help a lot.
Cashew the Frenchie help a lot. Yeah, Cashew. Cashew the Cashew the French bulldog.
What is that?
Or the French terrier. Oh God, Alison could tell you. I sent her one of the videos. I was like, here, cheer up, watch this dog throw a tantrum because he's hungry, even though he's overweight. And he's really cute while he's doing it. Unlike my dog.
Oh, he's a French bulldog, a Frenchie.
He's like a French
called Cashew.
Cashew, yeah. And he's got like this really, really like sedate same breed sister who just like is very well behaved, and he just throws temper tantrums, and he's really kind of talk to the hand, and no, I'm not talking to you, and he turns his back and he like makes noise, and it's like it's all very cute.
Oh, he's
every
a brat.
once in a while, yeah, every once in a while when my husband is like, but I'm hungry now, and it's like, but dinner, I told you dinner was going to be ready in an hour, and he's like, but I'm hungry now, and I'm like, and then 5 minutes later he's like, when's dinner? And I'm like, when did I tell you last time? You're the engineer, do the math, right? Okay, you do the math. 60 minus 5 equals what, right? And then he'll bug me, and I'm like, why don't you go try open the oven and nag the roast and see if it cooks any faster? How about you do that? Okay, and then finally, after half an hour of that, I make him watch that video, and I'm like, that's you. That's you, honey. And don't deny it. And he's like, no, I'm not denying it. That is me. So.
Yeah. Are you trying to delay the start of this video?
Yes, I am. But this is my guilty pleasure. Watching that pudgy little Frenchie, right, throw tantrums.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway,
what was your point on guilty pleasures, Brian?
No, I was just curious, like, because, you know, like I was talking with Lindsay about it. Like, I asked her, and she said, my guilty pleasure is probably Ponyo, which is a Studio Ghibli anime about this little water girl or something, or like mermaid. I'm not really sure, but because it's aimed at a super duper young audience, it's not like, you know, Princess Mononoke or Spirited Away. So, you know, you have to be like 5 to appreciate Ponyo, and sometimes she just wants to watch something that's aimed at a super young audience, so she'll watch Ponyo. And I was telling her that mine is probably, you know, something like Johnny Mnemonic or Van Helsing or something, you know, where I don't care that Keanu Reeves isn't particularly talented as an actor. Or Constantine, that was another one. I like Constantine. I know a lot of people hate it, but I like it. That's what but I don't really have a point. I was just curious. Like Alison's, Karen, you know, I'm just gonna put Alison on blast right now. Alison's guilty pleasure is what is it? The Diary. What is it called? Those movies
Bridget
with
Jones's Diary.
Yeah, Bridget Jones's Diary. Right. I don't know if those are generally hailed as good or not, but that's an example. If somebody was like into Twilight, and they were like over the age of 30, I might call that a guilty pleasure too.
Okay. You know, you want to know another guilty pleasure that I have? The channel Zeducation.
Zeducation?
Zeducation.
No, I've never heard of it. Is that a YouTube channel?
Yeah, it's a YouTube channel, Zeducation, and he does he just does basically meme reviews, right? And it's not so much him. It's actually just the memes, because he's got, you know, a big fan base, and they contribute memes, and the memes are often
hilarious.
Pretty funny. And so he does like Tuesday, Thursdays, and Sundays. Tuesday is if you cringe, you win, right? or that didn't age well. And then Thursday is try not to laugh, which is a warm up to Sunday. You laugh, you lose, and you have to do a punishment. And and it's just like, I like the memes.
I like the memes too.
Yeah, no, and it's like some of them are political on his channel, but some of them are completely like apolitical. It's just like, pineapple on pizza jokes and stupid dad jokes and bad puns and, fart jokes and things like that. So it's like,
yeah,
All right,
no,
guys.
so it's like a nice
If you want
mix.
us to actually start the show, please go to
No,
feedthebadger.com
we don't
and put in
actually
a few
want-
shekels in the hat, and I will make them start the show.
all right.
No.
Well,
Worth it.
Put the shekels in the hat, and then we won't have to watch this Vice video.
We're gonna have to watch it.
we're
have to watch
gonna
it.
play some of this Vice video. So
Oh, Jesus.
the Vice video is entitled "Hunting Down Incel Extremists," and I guess it's part of a series called Investigators.
Because they're an organized militia now.
Yeah, as we know, incels are a highly organized, highly militarized division of the patriarchy. They're like the Navy SEALs
Or
of the
message board
patriarchy.
on 4chan. Yeah. The highly militarized message board on 4chan.
Yeah, they're like the GI Joes of the patriarchy. They're like
Oh,
highly
God.
specialized with code names. Okay, so let's have a listen to what this woman I like how she's like overly feminine, like she's wearing this dress with flowers on it. It's like,
Yeah,
what are
no,
you
she
from
looks
Little House on the Prairie? Yeah, I was just
She looks like freaking Anne of Green Gables, except she needs redder hair
yeah.
and braids.
And I point that out because this is on purpose. She's
Yeah.
probably
Oh, I
she
know.
doesn't dress like this normally. So, all right, let's listen to some.
Online,
God.
you can be anyone. I can be a far-right neo-Nazi, but I can also be a jihadist, and I can even be a man who's part of the incels movement.
Most of the world was introduced to incels when Elliot Rodger killed 6 people at UC Santa Barbara in 2014.
There was no name for that then. Did they actually have the
Wizard
incel?
Chan.
There was Wizard Champ, but they didn't actually call him an incel because I remember that. They called him a men's rights activist.
Well, that's what the media called. Well, starting with that freaking at the Daily Coast. The Daily Coast was with oligarchy, right? Pen name oligarchy. At the Daily Coast, calling him an MRA, but like he was on the Wizard Chan forums, and they were telling him to calm the fuck down. Jesus Christ, like what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. I think the term incel existed, but the mainstream and the media weren't aware of it yet, because I think the incel community was around. Obviously, but it wasn't like well known in the mainstream.
No,
and he had
not at all.
absolutely no ties to men's rights activists whatsoever, like
No.
zero.
And
Yeah.
he did have ties with the blossoming incel community, but only in the sense
Anti-pickup
that he-
artists, yeah.
anti-pickup artist and Wizard Chan, but only in the sense that he hated pickup artists because he thought they were selling snake oil because it didn't work for him, or he couldn't make it work for him. And then he went on to Wizard Chan, and they were all telling him to like settle the fuck down because he was talking crazy. And so it was like everybody who came across this guy was like, yeah.
No.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. My email client finally decided it was going to speak with one of my email accounts, and now I have 328 notifications.
Oh boy.
That's great. But let's move on.
All right. Note that just so you guys can see how the media works. Note that she starts by saying, "I can be anyone online," and immediately goes to, as an example, I could be a neo-Nazi, a jihadist, which, whoa, that's a bit Islamophobic, and then an incel, as though those things they're basically
comparable.
one. Yeah, you can just swap it out. It's like changing, your shirt. It's just I think I'm an incel today, and tomorrow I'll be a neo-Nazi. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you could, but it's like, and then you could be someone who really fits in on Mumsnet, you know,
Mm-hmm.
or at Jezebel.com, right? Like, you can be anyone. Yeah, no. If I had a bunch of sock accounts, I could probably convincingly repeat the rhetoric and the demagoguery of any one of these groups of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Right,
Mumsnet
and-
probably isn't considered to be white supremacist or actually racist because it just attacks the groups that are acceptable to attack, I'd imagine.
Well,
Unless
Mumsnet,
Mumsnet is more neutral, I don't know.
no, Mumsnet is pretty radical feminist. They're
Ooh.
actually getting a reputation as TERFs.
I want to look
Ooh.
into them. That sounds like it could be fun.
Mm.
Damon.
Yeah.
Like female dating strategy.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
That's an endless source of
remind me.
amusement. Okay.
Okay, let's keep going because I'm tired of
I
Lester Holt
love the look on his
staring into
face.
my soul. Yeah.
I like because it looks like he's subtly laughing at you behind he's like he's trying to stop from bursting out laughing. Do you see that? Do you guys see that?
He's trying to hold in a fart.
Yeah.
Either trying to hold in a fart, but I see a slight stopping himself from laughing.
I can see it now. Yeah.
Trying to look real serious.
All I will say is his face is not quite as symmetrical as we're supposed to believe. So
police didn't have to search long to learn what motivated a 22-year-old gunman to kill 6 people and injure 7 others.
Incel stands for
What motivated? Okay, all right. Oh, I wonder why they don't do that when it's, radical Islamic terrorism, Islamist terrorism.
How could this have happened? What could have motivated him? Right? He's literally yelling Allahu Akbar while he's stabbing and shooting people, and yet they're like, was it mental illness? Did his wife leave him? What happened?
Endless excuses, especially also when women do it, like endless excuses. But in this case, it's going to be some. And here's the thing: people who are criminal don't have a lot of insight. This is something that is pretty common among the criminally minded. They don't have a hell of a lot of introspective insight over why they're actually doing stuff. So they just pick out whatever and say, yeah, this is my retroactive explanation. And then media inevitably runs with it. In previous eras, it's been rock music, D&D games, like pornography. And the media always runs with these. And it's no, the guy has poor impulse control and a history of abuse. That's more likely to be why he engaged in violence, not anything to throw a dart at a dartboard and pick a hot topic.
Well, what about Call of Duty? We all know that Call of Duty causes that. Yeah, Call of Duty and Doom.
No, but what Alison has pointed out in the past, and what I would reiterate, is that sort of antisocial personality disorder has a genetic component as well as an environmental component, and sometimes the environmental component can be 0 and it's all genetic. Sometimes it's the environmental component, some kind of massive trauma or some kind of ongoing childhood trauma, right? That it's kind of like smoking and cancer, right? Most people are shocked to hear that only 10% of people who smoke their entire adult lives, only 10% of them ever get lung cancer. And it's not just because they die of other smoking related causes before they ever get lung cancer, right? Like lots of people live to a ripe old age, well past their life expectancy at birth, having been lifelong smokers and never get lung cancer. Right. So, does that mean that smoking doesn't cause cancer, that environmental factor isn't there? No, it doesn't mean the environmental factor doesn't exist, but there has to also be a hereditary component to it, a susceptibility to these kinds of things in the environment. That's why you don't see the majority of kids who've been sexually abused grow up and abuse others. You don't see the majority of kids, even who grow up in extremely traumatic circumstances, growing up to traumatize others, and cause harm to others, right? Like, like there's these are things that are very, very difficult to untangle because they vary, that the ratio of effect varies from person to person in terms of like what actually makes a person with antisocial personality disorder, what actually creates a psychopath or a sociopath, right? It's gonna vary. So, but like this whole thing with Elliot Rodger, I suspect that there was a genetic component, there was an environmental component during childhood, and then there was a deep sense of alienation through his teens, and the teen years are very important, where he felt like nobody was really his friend. They were all just kind of maybe taking advantage of him because his father and his stepmother were wealthy. Right. So, so it was like, I think you have to actually look at these things on a case by case basis to determine causality. And just because he stumbled across Wizard Chan does not make him
that the reason why he did what he did.
Yeah, no, and I'm looking at, like I interviewed Chris Cantwell on my channel, and one of the things that struck me from the first time that I talked to him, which was years before that, was this seems like a radical, right, to the bone, dyed in the wool radical, looking for a cause, and he would pick up one cause, squeeze all the juice out of it, and then he's like, well, this doesn't provide me all the answers to everything, right? And so he'd put it down and he'd go pick up another one and squeeze all the juice out of it and go, well, this isn't very satisfying either. And so he would go from one ideology to radical ideology to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. Yeah. And it just so happened that the one that got him into trouble was the particular one, the Unite the Right rally. But, like he was Antifa, he was radical left wing, he was, radical this, radical that, radical the other thing, radical anarcho-capitalist, then a radical conservative, social conservative. And, like he just moved. The one thing that he craved was some kind of black and white system, right? That basically says everything on this side is wrong and everything on this side is right. And neither the twain shall meet, and that's that. And that doesn't exist anywhere in any ideology, right? And so it just so happened that he got into trouble because at the place that he did, because that was the one place that everybody is like, ooh, right-wing radicalism, right? That's dangerous.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's like it's actually the same mentality. It's the same psychology behind all of it. And it is young men searching for some kind of positive identity in a society that stripped them of the ability to take any kind of positive identity from being men. And they just radicalize, and that's true for Antifa. It's true for Islamists. It's true, which is amazing because Islam is considered to be very pro-male, but it's through it. I mean, and what you see repeatedly is that it's the men at the very periphery that haven't succeeded according to the means of mainstream society or the expectations of mainstream society. So they haven't been able to develop that personal identity, positive identity. So they turn to this extremist stuff. And if we actually gave young men a sense of value for being men, and that doesn't mean that you can't become a better man, but just the idea that masculinity has value, The idea that masculinity has worth, has skills that you can develop and increase, but you have worth. That is the one thing that would stop this extremism. But of course, nobody wants to embrace it because the extremism is actually beneficial to the people who are even promoting this idea that this form of the extremism is wrong. They still want to use that extremism.
Oh yeah,
that
no, they
desperation.
end it, right? Like
Yeah,
if your entire business model is identifying a problem and selling a solution, what are you going to do when the problem gets solved?
Well, you create
What
problems.
are you going to sell? What are you going to sell?
No, what you do is you create problems. You blame whatever your scapegoat is, whether that's patriarchy, white supremacy, capitalism, whatever, and then you offer a non-solution. Like, it has to be something that seems like it would be the solution to the problem, but it only it doesn't.
Make it worse.
Will only make it worse, and then you get to go back and blame again, so you can start the whole process over.
Okay, and before we continue,
Gloria Steinem being asked, are women still oppressed? And her saying, this is like 8-9 years ago. Oh, they're more oppressed than ever.
Yeah, it's the never-ending oppression, like never-ending, because it's so useful for manipulating people. But I just want to remind everybody that we are doing our monthly fundraiser. We haven't gotten anything in yet, so I'd really appreciate it if we get at least one thing in during this live stream.
I did get a super chat.
Okay, that's good. And send in the super chats as well. Please go to feedthebadger.com and put some shekels in the hat for Brian, Prim, and Hannah. We really don't exist without your support. So unless you want to wake up one day and then find Honey Badger Radio gone, well, I guess our backlog would be around, but no new content, then you gotta actually support. So please go to feedthebadger.com and do that. All right, back to you, Brian.
All right, I'll play more of the video, but first I'll read this super chat. Amasang gives us $5 and says, my guilty pleasure is the first and only aired episode of Hail Honey, I'm Home. Imagine a 50s style sitcom about Ava Braun and you know who.
Oh no.
I have to look that up. That sounds hilarious.
That would be Heil Honey, though.
Heil Honey? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let us continue.
And it was originally a forum on Reddit that was basically set up for people who couldn't find a romantic or sexual partner. The Toronto van attacker posted a reference to Elliot Rodger online.
He wasn't part of a terrorist group, but it may not be as simple as suggesting he was a lone wolf.
I think it's extremely scary that literally anyone...
Wait, wasn't the van attacker...
Alec Manassian?
Yeah, Alec Manassian. Like, I called that he's just grabbing onto anything. And I think that it was proven that this is all, like, everything he grabbed onto wasn't.
Yeah, a therapist that was working with Alec Manassian, or a psychologist or something, came out later and said that Alec Manassian was tremendously stressed about a new job or something, and that he basically just put it on the incel movement. This, at the very least, this makes him, because, I don't know if that's true, because we couldn't really confirm it, but it does at the very least call that narrative into question if it doesn't also make Alec Manassian himself a kind of unreliable resource. Unreliable narrator, because if he's changing his story, then, it calls the whole thing into question. Of course, Vice did not, because they're not stupid. They didn't say that Alec Manassian was an incel. They said that Alec Manassian posted something supportive, or had claimed to have posted something supportive about Elliot Rodger. So they're basically they're being really sneaky and working around that. So if you bring up the truth about Alec Manassian and the fact that his motives are still really not, they're in question at least, they can just say, well, we're not saying that he's an incel. We're saying that he posted this thing about Elliot Rodger. And so that gives them that plausible deniability. So you have to, they're playing rhetorical games, which is what people like this always fucking do. They always play these games because they want to make overt allegations, but sometimes they have to be cautious. So they just engage the manipulation. This is why this woman, again, she's very feminine, young, she's wearing a dress, her hair is like long down on one side, and she's saying things like, it's very scary. That is what's happening here. Not what she's saying, but the emotional manipulation going on behind that is what's important.
And not just that, but she's not made up like Nancy Pelosi. She's made up like, you can't even really tell whether she's even wearing makeup, right?
Yeah.
Fresh-faced.
Yeah. And that's by design.
Looking.
And she has like this accent, okay. But anyway, Alison, I don't know if you want to say anything or if I should just keep playing.
Just keep playing. Like,
all right.
We'll try to get a few minutes in, eh?
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Caught up in an extremist movement could get radicalized and exploited by extremist recruiters.
You German?
I'm Julia Ebner, and I'm a researcher looking at far-right radicalization and terrorism. Part of my
and
research
the fact that you're only looking at one side means that your research is total and utter nonsense.
Yeah.
Like what are you finding out? Nothing. You don't have any depth to your thinking.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
both sides are going to use similar tactics, right?
Yes.
So
sure.
And so but it's like at the same time too. Yes, she appears to be Julia Ebner appears to be German or Austrian.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, I think the main point though is that she would try to have us believe that she's hoping to solve this problem. And the truth, no, she would want us to believe that, but she doesn't. She's not actually doing that. Not only because she's ignoring, radical violence coming from, a side that Vice would agree with, but also because she's not even really trying to understand what the roots of these issues could be. Because the late Joseph Rosenbaum could easily have been at the Unite the Right rally. He could have also been, part of an Islamist group. He could have also been a part of Antifa. Hell, he probably was when he was killed. He could have been supporting Black Lives Matter. And the question you should be asking is, clearly all of these could lead down a path of radicalization and violence. Why? Not, it's men, and that's the end of the story, because that's what she's driving at, in my opinion. It's just men doing what they do. It's just men, so.
Is undercover within those groups. And I do these investigations partly because I want to understand better how they operate, because that's how you inform prevention and intervention programs, but also partly because I then work with security services to intercept their communication or to prevent terrorist attacks from happening if I do see something being plotted. I actually initially started looking into jihadist
which is useless. She's a complete waste of money. She's a complete waste of money. All she's going to do is censor people on the internet. She's not actually going to understand the pipeline that leads from abuse, low impulse control to actual radicalization, which, you know what? The truth is that these guys were radicalized well before they heard a single ideological statement. They were radicalized by the abuse they've experienced, and they were, furthermore, they were behind the 8 ball in terms of brain development. So it's like you can look at all of the, we have to censor this point, because that's actually where it really is, isn't it? It has nothing to do with stopping violence and everything to do with stopping speech you don't like.
Yeah, that's what this is about. If she actually wanted to follow this road and to see where it leads, it would probably in part lead to her.
Yeah.
Like what she believes.
Or to Antifa.
Yeah, but
she probably
I'm sure that Vice supports Antifa, and Antifa is just anyway, go ahead, Alison.
Well, it's also a situation where not only would it lead to her, it would lead to the fact that probably she's a part of. I'm guessing that she's probably feminist. In a lot of cases, these people are.
Yeah.
And, she would have to face the fact that in combination with abuse and genetic factors, they're also not affording an identity for men. So they are desperate to, like Michael McEwen, which is someone who people should read and look at, said it very succinctly. If you take away people's identities, they become violent. We're taking away young men's identities. Now, for the most part, the vast majority of young men will simply turn that violence, the violence that society's inflicted upon them, on themselves. But there will be a tiny, tiny, tiny minority who turns it outward. And if you don't care about the initial violence, the abuse, the ignoring the abuse, the removal of any kind of positive identity that men can develop, if you don't, you ignore the initial violence, then you will never solve it. You'll never solve it. If this woman isn't looking into why men are also committing suicide, then she's never going to solve this problem.
Yeah.
Ever. She's a waste of money. She's a waste of time. This is all a waste. So the real question is...
Okay, so what this means, Alison, is that we're done with this video and we can get back to talking about Cashew, the hilarious Frenchie.
Well, we might have to be done with this video. I mean, we've gotten absolutely no support from anybody who's... Yeah, it's like nothing, which is surprising. Not even one person putting in $5 at feedthebadger.com. So maybe we could cut it short because obviously nobody gives a fuck. And we'll go home and I'll go do something else.
I can always lean on my bad arm and do an imitation of the feminist screeching.
Maybe we should do the feminist screeching for a bit. Very disheartening.
Punishment.
Very disheartening.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll do a bit more.
Okay. Let's keep going.
When ISIS was at the height of its power, but then I saw that there was a strong backlash from the far right side of the spectrum. So I looked deeper into the far right's online subcultures and saw that they were really gaining traction, especially among young people. And I wanted to get insights, really first-hand insights, and understand what was driving them. When I was younger, I always wanted to become an actress, and I did a few acting trainings. So I guess that was then helpful for being just really just an amateur in pretending to be someone I'm not. But
what does that have to do with? She's humanizing herself. Okay.
No, but what she's doing is she's like, well, I was skilled at faking being one of them, and it's like,
that's really hard to do online.
You know, me and my husband and my son used to sit and watch those. You remember those Can't Stump the Trump videos, Brian?
Yeah. Back in the glory days of 2016, yes.
Yeah, no, they were awesome. And we would watch them and it'd be like, okay, every other clip he was like thug lifed and it was like hilarious and he's like only Rosie O'Donnell. And it was great. It was hilarious. It was like watching his education meme review. But but yeah, no, did that make my son a radical? Did it make him a radical that he wanted to actually get a Trump hoodie?
Does he play Call of Duty?
No.
Well, he's probably okay.
That he wanted to get a Trump hoodie just so he could wear it to school and trigger his teachers, right? Just to watch their reaction, to trigger them, just to trigger the libs, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, does that make him far right? Does that make him radicalized? That he liked Trump because Trump was an ultimate troll. He was good at trolling. Right. And he was really good at smack talking and slapping people down and coming up with funny names, Little Marco Rubio and low energy Jeb Bush and Sleepy Joe Biden and
right.
All of Crooked Hillary and all of that stuff. Right. That he was like an entertainer as well as a political candidate. And he appealed to my son because my son was like, I say shit like this to my social studies teacher, and he just sighs.
Mm-hmm.
Just gives a long-suffering sigh and goes, Sam.
He's just doing what guys do. especially
Yeah.
younger guys, they just put, okay, you're telling me that there's a line and I can't cross it? Well, fucking A, I'm going to cross it because
Yeah,
you
I'm just
told
gonna
me it
stick
was
my-
there. I'm going to
Stick
put
my toes over the edge.
yeah,
at
I'm going to put
least.
my dick on it and I'm going to see what
Yeah.
you say. No, but that's really, I mean, it could have been anyone that was like the trigger, and he just glommed onto this because it was there, and then people were getting upset and they were clutching their pearls. So it was like, okay, well then fuck it. I can completely understand
and then
that.
that just makes it to these young men, just makes it more appealing, because it's like, oh my God, everybody thinks Trump is the devil, right? I love this guy, right?
Yeah,
It's like, do you not understand the psychology of young males? Right?
Well,
do you
exactly.
not understand? Like, these are the people who'd be like, if I came up to somebody who was, of Asian persuasion and said, "Yo mama's so fat, when she jumped for joy, she got stuck," right?
Mm-hmm.
And they'd be like, "Oh my God, she imitated an Asian accent to an Asian person and insulted his Asian mother."
Yeah. Well, again, and for the record, when Vice says, because you were asking, like, does that make my son far right? When Vice says right or far right, they're basically just talking about everybody other than themselves.
They're talking about me. Anybody with a sense of humor.
Yeah,
Anyone with a sense of humor.
It's not it's not a two sides thing. It's these people and it's everybody else.
Well,
Like
these people on top of their moral weaponry, like they're on, and they're just like everybody else, because they don't master this moral weaponry as well as we are. Everyone else is we can morally dominate.
Evil.
Therefore, it actually has very little to do with morality and everything to do with social perception and manipulation and sophistry. So they actually have turned morality into a weapon. And that's why it's everybody who isn't them, everybody that they can actually subjugate through the moral weaponry, they will, because they can. It has nothing to do with morality.
It
has everything to do with force.
Here's an example.
And that's actually terrifying if you think about it. We are now embarking on attempting to create a society in which morality isn't something that's individual, expressed through individual actions based on their...
Alison dropped. Oh, she's back.
Oh, she's back.
Individuality. Oh, I'm back?
You dropped for like a
second.
Wow. Okay, I'm back. Well, I was just saying that they just used morality as a blunt, what they call morality as a blunt force weapon and everybody who isn't able to, who they can subjugate with that weapon is of course going to be fallen, because it isn't about morality. It isn't about an external standard that you live up to of how you, respecting people's individuality while also trying to develop a community, anything like that. Has nothing to do with that. It has all to do with sheer brutal might. They essentially ascribe to the Conan version of morality. What is morality? To see my enemies driven before me and hear the lamentations of the
women. Right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, and here's the thing, right? There's just like a very, very recent example of this. Lauren Boebert, she's a congresswoman. She recently did a speech on the House floor where she was like, okay, so if we're actually going to be talking about character here, right? The character of Congress people and the morality of Congress people here. Okay, so Jihad Squad member Ilhan Omar recently paid her husband more than $1 million in campaign funds, right? And I'm not talking about her brother husband. I'm talking about the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then who else did she get on?
Was it also other members of the squad?
Yeah, I believe so. But she was forced to apologize for that, for that, even though it's a matter of record that Ilhan Omar improperly used campaign funds to divorce her brother, who she only married in order to help him commit immigration fraud.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then she wanted to marry this new guy, the other husband, not the brother husband, the other husband. She wanted to marry him, and she was like, oh, fuck, I'm married to my brother. I have to divorce him. So she used campaign funds to pay for the divorce, right? And then she marries this guy, and she pays him over $1 million in campaign funds to be her campaign advisor, right? And it's like, nobody's looking at that.
Yeah.
Nobody's looking at that. The only reason we know that Ilhan Omar married her brother to commit immigration fraud and bring him over is because she improperly and illegally spent campaign funds to divorce him. Right? And so the EEC looked into it, and they were like, yeah, no, you can't spend campaign money to finance your divorce. Also, is this your brother? But she hasn't been prosecuted or referred for prosecution for immigration fraud, for marrying her fucking brother, right?
Yeah,
and
of course.
She's sure not going to be investigated by the EEC or the FEC rather, over diverting $1 million in campaign funds to her husband because he was an advisor, right? Worth $1 million. Like, give me a fucking break. Lauren Boebert, for calling attention to it and being crass about it, not being 100% super civil about it on the House floor, right?
Yeah.
She was she was censured and forced to apologize for being uncivil.
So I'm just tuning in after having checked Feed the Badger. We have some thank yous to give. I think we also have some super chats now.
I do.
Yeah, okay. I also want to point out that we apparently have a new guy, Egwene Asida, who's upset at stuff like the ranting. Do you know who Karen Strawn is? Egwene Asida, like seriously.
Somebody sent. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Do you know who she is?
Yeah.
If you don't, this is probably not going to be your podcast.
Well,
all right.
Honey Badger Radio will be, just not any episodes where I'm on. And there are many episodes where I'm not on, so.
Yep. Yeah, there are many episodes, but I mean, to be honest, if he's genuinely a part of the community, there's no way he doesn't know who you are, and I doubt he does. I think that he's completely ignorant about everything. But instead of learning, he's going to tell us all what's what. All right, let me get to the thank yous.
Hear it.
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just sounded like you were about to. Yeah, your internet's being spotty.
Yeah, it's as usual. All right, so we got $25 from. I think my cat is about to bite me, so excuse me if I scream. Crumpler N. Thank you, Crumpler N.
All right, I got my thing working.
Yeah, back. And we got $50 from Michael O. Thank you, Michael O.
All right.
And we also got $250 from Celerate. So thank you, Celerate. You're always good for it. So thank you.
Be gone, fuck!
That's a good one. All right.
All right.
Okay,
is that
so
it?
Let's do the super chat. That's it for now. Yep.
All right, super chats. Albatross gives us $5 and says, "Keep going." Dove emoji, peace sign emoji, purple heart emoji. Looks like devil horns emojis. Thank you, Albatross. Hokey Bukisa gives us $20 and says, "Badger food. This is why I think it's pointless to try to defend this new loser buzzword. There is no need for them to address it. They don't even want to. They will just speak past you with a prettier face, and it works." Yeah, they're just constantly, like, incels, just the new means by which they're doing the same old stuff. So they're just going to use whatever the hot buzzword is, and they don't.
It's a new version of "What are you, gay?"
Yeah. And also they they're not interested in fixing anything, because I think that the damage that they're trying to do is on purpose, and that's how they get paid. So Polaris589 gives us $5 and says your dislikes are hidden. Well, I don't know if I didn't do anything on my end.
We're not doing it.
Yeah. So if that's happening, it's
YouTube.
not. It's YouTube. Yeah. Hothead Studios gives us $5 and says, honey for the Badgers. Thank you, all of you guys, for your super chats. Okay.
And thank you also for your kind support. If you would like to join our generous supporters, please go to feedthebadger.com. Yeah. And I appreciate you all responding to my pleas and supporting the project. Because I'm pretty sure we are the only ones who do what we do in the way we do it.
Yeah.
In terms of connecting the necessity of protecting men's identities, not just for men's benefit, but also to maintain an actually healthy, functioning goddamn society. All right, let's continue.
Let's continue.
It helped me to for example, to fool neo-Nazi groups or also jihadist groups into thinking that I could be one of them. For my research, I went undercover on the one hand with ISIS hacker groups, but also with American neo-Nazis, with German far-right extremists.
Oh my God, did I just drop?
I don't know. Did you? I was just listening to the video. Are you?
No,
are you?
The stream pauses. The stream pauses when he restarts. It restarts to replay it again.
All right.
So.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't my crappy internet.
No.
Are you watching my stream?
Yes, I am indeed. I'm not completely incompetent.
No. I just wanted to make sure, because you did drop out earlier, and I don't know if you had to reconnect to the stream and maybe. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going.
And white nationalists, also with misogynist groups, and with conspiracy theory groups such as QAnon.
So QAnon, misogynist groups. What the fuck is a misogynist group? Are there really
no misogynist group?
No, I know there's no such thing. Like, can you imagine guys getting together because they hate women and then doing what? Talking about and complaining about women all day? I mean, sounds like Jezebel to me.
Yeah, to be honest, like our community, which they probably would think is a den or a hive of hatred of women. Aside from one woman who really, really, really hates women, which isn't me, by the way, there's almost none. They just do their own thing.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yep. And it's like yeah, this misogynist groups. Yeah, right. What do you mean by misogynist group? You mean groups that actually recognize women have moral agency? Or groups that say, women's legal powers in the current era are they're a little OP, they're game breaking. We don't want to get involved with that. Like, no, these are not misogynist groups.
No.
The likelihood of a man truly being misogynist is so minimal. I wish they would just stop it.
What I find interesting is, if you're part of a group that says women need to be empowered, you are a feminist. You are part of the mainstream. You are wonderful. You're everything that everyone should try to be, right? But if you're part of a group that says women are already empowered, right? You hate women. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
Women are already empowered. Women already have a whole bunch of power. And like, I always bring up this one experiment that they did at this place called interviewing.io, where it's like a code camp for people who are training to do whiteboard interviews for coding jobs, right? So if you want to be a programmer, you want to be a developer, you want to be a back-end developer, you want to be a front-end developer, you want to be a full stack coder, whatever, right? Okay, they put you through mock interviews. And what they found was that they already had fewer women than men who were using their service, right? Paying for the service to practice their interviewing skills, the interview being basically, okay, I want you to write some code that does this. and then you write it during the interview, right? And they already had fewer women who were using the service to train for interviewing, right? But what they found was that women were also dropping out of the program at twice the rate of men. The attrition rate was two times or more the rate of men just giving up, right? And so they actually did an experiment. And so what they did was they got voice modulators and they modulated all the interviewees' voices. And sometimes they made men sound like women. Sometimes they made women sound like men. Sometimes they just modulated men's and women's voices to sound their own sex, but modulated so that it wouldn't be a confound, and put them through the paces of a typical interview. And what they found, because they thought, they assumed, we're going to find it's discrimination against women is discouraging women and they're dropping out. What they found was that women consistently got slightly better. People whose voices were modulated to sound female got better scores on their interviews than those whose voices were modulated to sound male. And yet, what they found, they were like, oh, that's a surprise. What's actually going on? And then they went in and they looked, and they were like, well, after one bad score, twice as many women as men dropped out. And after two bad scores, right, 3 times as many women as men dropped out. And it was because women were quicker to give up. It wasn't because they were getting worse scores. They were getting better scores. It was because they were quicker to give up, right? And so I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, well, okay, if you're a woman out there in society and you're trying to break into a male-dominated field like full stack development or developing, right? And you believe the narrative that the entire field is weighted against you based on something that you can't change, and then you get one bad review on a practice interview, and then you get a second bad review on a practice interview, you're going to give up, right? Because you're going to assume it's because there's discrimination, because the entire field is stacked against you, right? Okay, so you're gonna give up because it's based on something that you can't change. You're a woman, you can't change that, right? So you're just gonna give up. And it's like, why would we be telling women this? Why would we be telling them when they're actually doing better than the men in that program? Why would we be telling them that the field is stacked against them, and so after the second bad interview, they should just pack it in and just do beading and make jewelry to sell on Etsy?
Well, because then you would no longer have perpetual, endless protests, which is what they want.
I know, and it's what they want. And it's like, why are we lying to women? Why are we lying to women and telling them that they have no power? Why are we lying to women and telling them that they have no agency? Why are we lying to women and telling them that their decisions don't matter? Why are we lying to women and telling them that their decisions don't affect other people? Why are we doing that?
Yeah, because
when none of it is true.
I agree 100%. Now it's basically like I said, they want perpetual, endless, pointless grievance, protest, fear, distrust, and men are afraid to treat women like adults because they're partly afraid because they don't want to be seen as hating women, but they also a lot of them get a lot of a feeling of meaning out of being able to sweep in and save them.
Being
even from themselves. Yeah, being an ally to women, etc.
Or a Captain Save-A-Ho. Yeah.
Because they don't hate women, but they're told that they do. And so many people want to, demonstrate so badly that they don't hate women. They only feed into the narrative that there are people who do. which is
Oh,
almost nobody.
Well, and the hilarious thing too is like these men who go in and they act as allies for women or allies for feminists. I wouldn't call them allies for women. They believe that's what they're doing, but that's not what they're doing, right? They go in and they put in the work, right? And then they're told, "Oh, well, you don't get a cookie just for being a decent human being." Right? Like, don't expect any reward. Sit down and shut up. Right? And it's like, no wonder there are, like the men's rights subreddit, probably half of the men in that subreddit are former feminists and former, like, dedicated feminists, like people who went to marches, people who, donated to organizations, people who supported causes, right? And 50% of them, got treated to that, right? Where it's like, I'm here to put my effort in for the cause of women as you are describing the cause of women to me. And then they're told, yeah, well, you don't get a cookie just for showing up and being a decent human being. So fuck off. And it's like, and the cookie that they're talking about is a thank you. Like, let's be clear here. It's not sex. It's not money, right? It's a thank you. It's a little bit of gratitude. It's an acknowledgement that you did something. That's all it is. And you don't get that cookie.
Yep. Okay. Let's keep going. I'm going to play more of this video. But yes, I agree with all of those things.
A lot of people wouldn't really make the connection that...
If you guys haven't seen it, I'm going to quickly do another quick little shout out because it does sort of explain where a lot of this comes from. I don't know, Karen, if you've been watching James Lindsay's podcast. The hell is it? Better Discourses? But if you haven't, you really should check it out. He's been doing these great...
Lots of people recommending it,
Yeah, deep dives into like the work of like Karl Popper, Herbert Marcuse, and others, Robin DiAngelo. But he did a couple of videos recently about where he started jumping into queer theory. And queer theory and feminist theory are basically like, one is spawned from the other. And
hand
the shit...
in glove,
Yeah, and the shit that... I mean, I knew it because we've covered it on this channel, but it gets dark, and James Lindsay he is force feeding himself some pretty red fucking pills. But okay, anyway, let's keep going.
Actually, neo-Nazis and far-right extremists are very similar to jihadists in the ways they operate, also in the ways they think.
What?
Okay, so you're seeing the similarity, but you don't also see the similarity with other ideologies?
No.
Well, and there's no similarity between Antifa and jihad.
Well, Antifa just means anti-fascist. So obviously it's not an organization. It's a sentiment, like Black Lives Matter. When that guy drove into that crowd of people at the Christmas parade, that was just an accident. He was fleeing persecution because he's black, not because he hated white people. Because how could he?
My dog is going nuts. Okay. So she understands that there is a connection. Does she realize that the connection is not ideological? And by the way, could she blink? Like, could she be staring any more creepily like some dead-eyed fucking doll? I know that's probably not her. It's probably the lighting. So it's on Vice. But seriously, also, I got to go deal with my dog. He's going nuts.
All right. Anyway, no, of course not, because this is all about basically what I'm getting at is these people are not going to address anything true or real. They're going to use a shred of truth, a nugget of truth, to create a gigantic lie, and they're going to push that lie on everyone, and they're never going to acknowledge anything that makes that lie less convenient. So
or they're gonna use a universal truth but selectively apply it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
like radical ideologies on the right and the left are not that different in how they recruit. They're not that different in how they target marginalized people who feel dispossessed, people who feel alienated. They're not that different in offering very simple solutions to very complex problems. They're really not that different, and very simple, easy to understand narratives that explain how things work. And anytime anybody tells you there's only one cause for anything, right, is selling you some bullshit, right? For any phenomenon, even medical phenomenon, even whether it comes to like medicine, when it comes to climate science, when it comes to other than math, maybe, and we don't know whether that maybe is like
Math is a byproduct of whiteness, Karen. 2 + 2 = 5.
okay.
Accept it.
Math is generally accepted to be the one universal constant, right? And even in math, there are some things that are very difficult to figure out, right? And so, I mean, like you're looking at, even in the hard sciences, there's a lot of fudging and there's a lot of guesswork and there's a lot of, let's apply this formula to analyze our data, this algorithm rather than this other one, right? To give us the results that we want, and let's overlook this while we promote this thing, right? So I mean, like you're looking at, even in fields like engineering, there's a lot of fudging going on. There's a lot of questionable stuff going on. But those fields, right, are infinitely more nail downable, if that's a term, right, than something like social science.
Yeah.
Social science involves, society is an organism and it's made up of millions of other organisms, right? And they all have their own motivations. Society has its motivations, purported motivations or imputed motivations, and every individual has their own motivations, and they've all been affected by the environment and by heredity and all of this stuff, right? And so you're looking, and it's all a feedback loop where it's like biology generates culture and culture reinforces biology, and and all of this stuff, right? So it's like you're looking at a situation where there's no ability to have an easy answer for anything.
I have an easy answer.
What's that?
Okay.
Donate to my Patreon?
Well, yeah, they could do that too. But
yeah.
The easy answer that I have is that, and it actually is both an easy answer and a very difficult one. What is happening with men's identity is at the core, or the source of a lot of the issues that we're seeing. And the marginalization of a masculine identity, masculinity, masculine virtues, is at the core of a lot of the things that we're seeing. And the reason why I put that out there as an explanation for the problems that we're seeing in society is because society itself is a dynamic between men and women and the psychology of men and women. There's nowhere else that it comes from. It isn't granted by aliens. It doesn't come from crocodiles or cat-headed gods. It comes from, or kings. It comes from the dynamic between men and women. That's what incentivizes extra productivity, that creates an economy that allows for kings and media and cathedrals and whatever else. So it all comes down to that. That's like a basic building block. And when you see
I would say everything, when it comes right down to it, everything boils down to sex
or reproduction, which is interesting with humans, because our reproductive process is extremely complex and fascinating.
But also we've decoupled sex from reproduction artificially, right? And so it's like we've basically altered our own evolution through artificial means. So it's like when you look at it, though, when you look at how men and women behave, how they differ from each other in personality and temperament and preferences and behavior, right? All of that can be explained by reproductive burdens, reproductive risks, reproductive costs, and reproductive benefits. All of that can be boiled down to that, and the aggregate results of who was successful at reproducing and who wasn't, and like this is why women cluster around the average, right? They cluster around the average in all traits, is because they don't need, there's no reproductive benefit in being super special, right? If the benefit is that you have 5 kids when that less attractive female has 4, right? That's not a big benefit for all of that extra cost of being more attractive, right, than that average woman, right? But when you look at the differentials for men, right? Okay, well, say you have 1,000 Genghis Khans or 1,000 prospective aspiring Genghis Khans, and 999 of them are killed before they ever sire a child, but you get one who ends up being a Genghis Khan, right? And then he has 1,000 children. Well, then 1 out of 5 men in East Asia are directly descended from Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to I actually have a few shout outs to give now. Yes, let me just refresh here. I can give you, so we do have only 2 days left. If you want to join our generous supporters, please go to feedthebadger.com. I'll do a poke to find out where we're at, and we'll also give everybody a thank you. Do we have any additional super chats to read?
I do have a super chat to read.
Okay, you might want to do that while I...
Want me to do that now? Okay.
Yes, do it.
Do it. Ligus Bookkeeping gives us $5 and says, Brian, would you be interested in starting a boys only book club at one of your schools? You get free books from Books for Boys, Facebook booksforboys.org. Because I'm only a part-time substitute teacher, I don't have a lot of pull at the schools that I work at, and the schools I work at are all different depending on where I am needed. So I don't have like one place where I go to regularly, but I do have you guys in mind in case that changes and I have like some degree of influence. Cause I'm telling you, if I get to do subbing for like an English class, I'm not gonna come in and take over and change things, but I'm gonna look and see what they're reading. And I'm gonna, determine if they need something else, because I noticed at least a lot of the books that people are asked to read, I've never fucking heard of them before. And they're not classics. Like, I'm not seeing kids reading Treasure Island or The Time Machine. It's like some book about the anti-bullying or something. So, but thank you for the super chat. Okay, Allison.
Are they reading Holes? Please tell me.
No, I don't think so. But I didn't like really dig into it. All I know is
The Outsiders.
No, I don't know. No, they're books I've never heard of. They appear to be dealing specifically with social dynamics. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say that they appear to be feminine oriented. So the girls really like them. They read them. They get into them. Like a lot of the schools, they do these little mini contests, which I like because it's sort of like a positive reinforcement thing where everyone in the classes are reading the same book, and they're tasked to read, from page whatever to another, like a group of pages, and then they quiz them and they say, well, they'll ask a question to see if the kids are reading, and then they answer the question by writing on a piece of paper, and it gets sent to the office, and then they do like a raffle and they draw, winners, and then those people get prizes for, being drawn. And I like all that, but the books they're reading are kind of shit, because I've noticed that the boys, they're not interested in those books. So, they're reading about like squirrels that make friends with the dog or whatever, and we're not talking about really little. I'm talking about like 5th, 6th grade kids. When I was in 6th grade, I read fucking Animal Farm and 1984 and All's Quiet on the Western Front and The Red Badge of Courage and Catcher in the Rye and Huckleberry Finn. Bram Stoker's Dracula. I wasn't reading like this shit, so.
Yeah. Well, but that just tells you how far our reading
It's so
competency
bad
in public schools is.
Yes, especially with boys. Okay, but anyway.
Yeah, no, like honestly, like I thought my youngest was, he was like behind in reading, right? I guess my older two, like learning to read at 1.5, 2 years old, right? They spoiled me. Like nobody taught them either. So, but oh my God, Allison, didn't you mute your mic first?
Yeah, she didn't mute. She's just yelling at her dog.
No.
JoJo's curled up with me. He's good.
Yeah, no, so is Borat. But but yeah, no, but my youngest son, who was, like he had no interest in reading, but he picked it up well enough, and I'm just like, how is it that so many kids, and we're talking like up to 80% of kids in public schools in some cities aren't reading at grade level proficiency.
Yeah, for sure they're not, for sure. And I don't think that, like the schools I've worked at, they weren't super woke either. Like people around here are pretty libertarian, but the quality of the education is still bad because it's sort of been made universalized across the country in the public school realm from the top down. So, it's just kind of garbage, especially the reading.
You know what you should do for those boys is bring in some World of Warcraft strategy manuals into the classroom.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they probably like would really get into it.
Boys actually, they like fictional worlds, but they like all of the back reading on all of the technicalities of, what's an orc good for, or what's he good at, and what's an elf, a dark elf good at, and what's this, and what would be the result if you matched these two characters up in a fight, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like my older boy, he used to sit. I used to think he was going to give himself hemorrhoids because he'd go to take a shit at age 4, right? And 45 minutes later, I'm walking past the bathroom. He's still sitting on the freaking toilet reading a World of Warcraft strategy manual.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said, if I
or Guinness Book of World Records, or
I used to love that book. I used to read those when I was in school. The guy with the long nails. Yeah, those were great. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff that boys like. But you don't really find them anymore. But if I will say this, because I got to move on. I think that if I could, I would certainly put together some amazing books that boys would really like, and I could find stuff at every level, and I bet that if we did that, we could improve boys' reading ability and their reading comprehension like really fast, because I think that
grade 5 Ender's Game, 100%.
But he's a homophobe. No, that's
fuck.
No, I know, but this is what they're saying. Yeah, I know. Okay, but anyway, thank you, Ligas Bookkeeping. I believe that I am on your Facebook page, and I am really grateful for the work that you're doing. So keep at it, and we will, if I get any kind of influence, I will try to put that in there, because unlike what a lot of people who are our critics say, I believe that the top-down answer is not going to fix this problem. It is fragile. It is extremely trepidatious, and it is already controlled by the people who want to destroy men and boys. So we have to work from the bottom up. So
yeah, we have to work with individual men and boys to develop the social and emotional skills to push back on this stuff in a personal level.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that
solution don't work.
I'm not actually convinced that the institutions that we have right now are going to be able to maintain themselves in perpetuity. Well, I know for a fact that they will be gone. So the real question is, how do we want to build back better?
Oh, God.
Because
Okay.
it's not, okay, seriously, it's not going to be the institutions that are reliant on the very masculine identity that they're now deconstructing. Like literally these institutions that we see talking about how the future is female, they were created by a previous dynamic between men and women with a previous form of the masculine identity. That identity, the work, the power, the innovation that came from that identity
the surplus productivity.
Yeah, created the potential of the institutions that are now deconstructing it. And I'm like watching that. I'm like, on the one hand, it would be really nice if they weren't hurting men so badly in the process. But on the other hand, it is a self-correcting problem. So yeah, I don't think a top-down solution is going to be feasible. In fact, I'd prefer people to realize that aside from the kinds of grassroots efforts that Hannah advocates, investing your faith in institutional change, probably not going to happen. Really, at this point, because the thing is that I've been working at this for 20 years. It only gets worse. But on the other hand, these institutions are destroying themselves. They're destroying their very foundations. So there will come a tipping point. And if all we can do is maintain the line, keep the fires burning, the signal fire, the fire of Gondor, keep it burning.
The beacons! The beacons are lit!
Keep the beacons alight. If that's all we can do, keep the beacons alight for the future, then that's what we will do. But yeah.
Yeah.
So that is what I believe. Shall I do my thank yous?
Yes. I do have another super chat, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, first of all, once again, if you would like to join our generous supporters, please go to feedthebadger.com. I would like to thank a better straw man. Hopefully that's not your legal name. A better straw man for $100. Thank you, a better straw man. I believe this might be the first time you've donated supported.
I'm gonna give him a wog for that. He gets
yeah. And Safe Demon put in $50 in the hat, so thank you, Safe Demon. I think a lot of the times when I put my call out, it's just the real issue is people don't want to get up off of their comfy chair. They don't want to leave the stream. They don't want to have to open up a browser. They don't, it's just inertia, I think, in a lot of cases that needs to be overcome. But thank you guys for overcoming that inertia. And
why can't we have some meats?
and actually supporting us. So now today we are at let's see, 475 for the hour.
Oh, sweet.
Yes, okay. We did. Yep.
I got a super chat from. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm never done. All right. So we are at 72% now. We need another $955 to go. So we're past we've now gone past the $1,000 mark. We're in the home stretch. Once again, feedthebadger.com. And I will hand it back to Brian for the super chat.
All right. So I got a super chat from Thomas Steen for $4.99. He says, just started listening. Don't know what I missed, but it's Vice, so it's probably cancer. Anyway, here's a tip to keep you guys viable on YouTube. Thank you. Yes, it is cancer.
That tip isn't going to cure my ass cancer. That I caught from Vice.
I swear, watching all this kind of content, which, by the way, feels really, really repetitive, but I think it's important that we respond to it anyway. I think it will cause me to die prematurely. I hope you guys are happy.
Especially in the ways they use new technologies. I've been interested in the rise of anti-feminism for quite some time, and especially
there's the payload.
There it is. Yep, this is the real problem. The rise of anti-feminism. See, it always comes back to this. My ideology is threatened. I can't allow that because it's where I get my money and all of my power and all of my influence. I have to stop it. I'm not going to listen. Remember, when these people pick things out, if they aren't like artificially constructed, they're usually trying to find the worst thing. So this is from the Incel forum, general discussion, why hating women makes sense. Why hating women makes sense. Women hate ugly men. They feel the hate in their spines. That's how strong the hate is. So that's kind of like the beginning of this guy's post.
It manifests itself in targeted hatred against women or against.
What the fuck? Exactly. What the fuck is wrong with these feminazis? Society has been fucked up by some, I don't know. And then there says incels down here.
Especially against feminists. The manosphere is a loose network of different online subcultures that are all misogynist and united in their anti-feminism. Incels is one of the most radical and potentially violent groups or networks within the bigger manosphere.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, predictable stuff, right? The manosphere is...
Well, at least she says it's a loose, casual, not formal. It's like, it's not a big organization. It's not a bunch of guys sitting around a conference table twirling their mustaches.
Yeah, but they all hate women, though.
Yeah, they do.
I guess like also, it doesn't matter if they're really powerful, like 1% billionaire men that hate women, or if they're literally less than the bottom of the barrel men. Yeah, that are angry at the world.
They're like unemployed dudes on disability. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly. What were you gonna say, Alison?
Yeah, and well, I mean, also Vice will dismiss everything that men do to maintain society, to produce the taxes that women require to exist, to ensure that the infrastructure keeps running. Everything that men do, and also the suicide that men engage in when they feel like they're a burden instead of an asset to others. Ignore all of that to zero in on a single blog post in which ugly guys say, is it okay to hate women because they hate us for being ugly? And say, that represents men. You are... the fact that this is... Vice is like, what, multi-million-dollar organization doing this? Because just you don't need to hear anything more about our society and what it's actually like.
Wasn't there like a dedicated website a few years ago called IHateMen.com that had like 250,000 users, registered users? Yeah.
Well, yeah, hating men is punching up, so.
Yeah, well, according to their theories that, you know, you hate women to question, their theories justify why they are in control, why they get government slush, which is not people actually choosing to spend money on them, but bureaucrats putting in a line item in people's taxes, or alternatively in the huge amount of the tidal wave of money that came from absolutely nowhere. You know, $1 million or almost $1 million to go spread feminism in Afghanistan. Taxpayers paid for that without any ability to say, I don't want to pay for this.
Yeah, so this is and 40%, something like 40% of all the dollars in circulation in the U.S. came into existence in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And they wonder why there's inflation.
All right. Shall we keep going? Yes, I will.
Incels was originally a forum on Reddit that was basically set up for people who couldn't find a romantic or sexual partner and who were lonely. There was a positive goal behind Incels in the beginning.
It was a website.
Yeah, there was in the beginning, she says. Is it possible that these guys over time discovered that finding a partner when you're at home on disability, have health problems, have psychological or emotional problems due to, something you inherited, or some abuse that you experienced has made it harder for you to find someone, and that you have likely run into women who have treated you very poorly for even daring to ask them out, could that possibly shape your view on women? Is that really so ridiculous and unfair? Because it totally happens.
Over the years by deeply misogynist and anti-feminist activists who've turned it into one of the most hateful places you can find on the internet. When you're black-pilled, you don't believe anymore.
Aside from Jezebel.
Yeah, and female dating strategy.
Yeah.
And Vice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Being able to find a romantic or sexual partner, you don't believe that it's possible to change your behavior in order to find a girl. They believe that actually...
Well, let me stop here for a second, because she's talking about blackpilling, and I want to speak to that. People like Vice, they don't actually want men to abandon the black pill. I do. I think the black pill is a bad idea. I think it's going to result in, I don't think nihilism is healthy. I think you're just going to either end up like living a meaningless life, or you're going to off yourself. And I don't want that for you if you are feeling that. I also believe that black pilling is the goal of these people. They want you demoralized. They want you to think that everything is pointless. They don't even care if they convert you to feminism or Antifa, or whatever ideology. They're perfectly satisfied with you feeling like everything is meaningless and pointless, because that will put you in a state where you are easy to control. This is what they want. So abandon nihilism. I'm saying that for your benefit, you cannot allow yourself to be black-pilled. That is what they want, okay? And they're going to do everything they can to make sure of it, and there are ways to avoid that. Having said all that, these people don't actually want to help you. What they want is to push you further and further and further out into isolation. They want to socially ostracize you as much as possible. They don't care if you're suicidal. They don't care if you're depressed. They don't care about any of that, because if they did, they would do the work to understand. But they don't. They have no curiosity. They only have a desire for money and power, specifically power, because they're okay with letting the money go to shit too, because that's part of the blackpilling process. So I'm just saying, do not, please, for your own sake, do not allow yourself to be blackpilled. Find something that will like keep you motivated to live a life worth living, and just don't let these people dictate what that looks like, because they don't know and they don't fucking care. Anyway, that's all. Hey, Karen, are you trying to talk? Because you were like lit up, but
no, I'm clicking on some things.
Sorry. Oh, I see. Oh, it's okay.
Shall we will call it a day at the hour, right?
Yeah, 5:35. So at 6?
Yeah,
that's good. Well, it's 6 my time. I think it's like a lot earlier your time. Yeah, so we'll go for like another half hour. Okay.
Another 25 minutes.
25 minutes. Okay.
Order to find
She's counting down.
They believe that actually it's only the really good-looking guys, they call them chats, who are able to find women. So attractive men.
Wow, this is funny, like how sexual this imagery is, and yet YouTube doesn't take it down. Isn't that weird?
Well,
what are you gonna say?
Well, I was gonna say that. So they've observed reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and this is the thing, right? You ask 18-year-old men and 18-year-old women, do you want to be married someday? And the majority of 18-year-old men say yes. The majority of 18-year-old women say no. Okay? Then you ask them at 30 and it's flipped, right? The majority of women say yes. The majority of men say no. Right. And then you look at the research on who's having sex in their 20s, right? How many people in their 20s are having sex? And what you find is 80% of women are and 20% of men are. And that's the Chad thing.
For sure. And I'll say,
and then these women, they hit the wall, they get the baby rabies, and then they're like, well, now after I've like sold my vagina to like 3 dozen one night stands with guys named Chad, right? Now I'm willing to settle for you now that you're earning 6 figures. And it's like, yeah, no, you can go fuck yourself, bitch.
Yeah. I will say though, Chads are not your enemy. Okay?
No, they're not.
Chads want the best for you. You should have a Chad in your life as a friend. Find a good Chad and hang out with him. He'll rub off on you. It's okay.
Yeah, no, like I'm not. I don't.
Chads
have
are friends.
Chads.
No. I'm just throwing it out there for guys
against those men. It's just like when you go through your like an entire decade of your 20s, like barely getting your dick touched because you're not good looking enough. You don't earn enough money, whatever, right? And there's this 20% of guys out there who fit all of the casual sex criteria for women, right? Who are looking to hook up but not looking to settle down, right? And they're they're all going for those guys, right? And they're giving you nothing, right? And then those same women turn around and maybe they got 2 kids in tow by 2 different men, right? And then they're like, why won't you marry me? Yeah. And you're like, where the fuck were you when I was 25?
Yep.
Oh, you were fucking Chad and Brad. Hence your 2 children named Chad and Bradina.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those aren't my kids. But oh yeah, no. And or oh yeah, so you're childless at 30 and now you want to commit. Oh, you don't just want to commit. You want to commit and have and get pregnant within 6 months. Cuz your clock is ticking down, right? I'm not ready to commit to being a father in 6 months. You were the one who wasted all of your fucking time, right? Yeah. While I was always here this whole time, and then on top of that, just the, spending your 20s, getting rejected by these fucking women. And then all of a sudden they're ready to bargain. They're ready to come to the bargaining table, right? When they're in desperate need, they've got the baby rabies, the clock's running out, right? They're going to need someone who's willing to partner with them and take care of them and foot the bill for them. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, now I'm willing to consider you as an option because now I don't care so much about looks. I care about stability and income. Oh, and now instead of making $50,000 a year, you're making $100,000 a year. Now you're really attractive to me. Back when you were like 23, it was like, puh, puh. How dare you ask me out?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, so why wouldn't these men be like, yeah, you know what? Ladies, go fuck yourselves. Go fuck yourselves. Right? Like, it was the women that threw out the rule book.
Uh-huh. True. Well, right? Yeah, they did.
So,
we never really worked out a real...
Well, the patriarchy, every place that's ruled by patriarchy is like, yeah, no, men and women don't have sex before marriage. Men and women don't have sex outside of marriage. Men and women have sex within a committed marriage.
For the purposes of reproduction.
Yeah, men and women have sex for the purposes of reproduction. And it's very hard to get a divorce. And women should be modest and men should be modest. And there you go, right? That's a patriarchal society, right? Yeah, it wasn't men who threw that out. It was men like Hugh Hefner who were like, well, fuck, if women want to throw out that rule book, I'm game, right? But it's not the men who were, it wasn't the patriarchy who created this system. It was the patriarchy that maintained the existing system, and then the feminist movement came in and threw it all out and said, oh, this is oppressive to women. It's oppressive. Now they're saying, oh, it's oppressive to women now because incels, and they label people Chads and Stacys, and that's not fair. And it's like, really, and they're shaming women for their sexual activity in their 20s. And it's really, it's just not fair. And why do they stigmatize us for, fucking all of the good-looking guys and then taking advantage and getting our freaking our incel friends to help us move and be our emotional tampons? Like, I just, like, what?
Yeah. All right. I got another super chat. I'm gonna read it really quick and then we'll keep going.
Probably going to be somebody telling me to stop ranting.
All of that is correct. Robin Fox gives us $10 New Zealand. Oh my God, Robin, I'm so sorry. And says, just a little tip for Karen here. Wanted to say thank you for helping me understand feminism when I was in my 20s and living with a toxic feminist. You're a light in the world. Truly keep on shining. All right, thank you, Robin. That's nice.
And here I thought it was going to be somebody who was going to
bitch about you. Yeah.
Stop ranting. So thank you.
No. We only have like one person
Look
in
at
the
this.
chat that
Okay, I'm going to
doesn't
read
want-
out this message that Michael O sent us.
Oh, so it did go through. Good.
Yeah, it's in pending because they're going to review it to see if they're going to shut down my entire account because somebody sent this message to me. And I can see why, because it references ISIS and January 6th. Oh, Jesus Christ. Don't get me on the FBI or the FBI or the CIA? The
FBI watch list. Yeah. Well, you probably already are, but.
Yeah, I know. I like how we started with, maybe because I got banned from the States, who knows? I like how we started with ISIS. To be honest, Michael, you probably didn't get me on the FBI list. I probably already am. I like how we started with ISIS as merely the outer circle of evil, only to focus on the core issue of today's social woes, men who cannot find relationships, men who are walking away, and also that terrorist trap accident on January the 6th that somehow almost brought the entire U.S. onto its knees. Well, Michael, proper protests are supposed to take place in disadvantaged neighborhoods and only actually impact the
poor.
The poor. When your protests actually impact government or the rich, that is actually in sedition and terrorism. And by the way, that's a liberal position to take.
Yeah, no, and frankly, I'm on an NSA. I'm in an NSA dossier, so
there you go.
Yeah,
surrounded by criminals. All right.
Yeah,
so
no, I'm not. It's not because I'm a criminal. It's because somebody I know needed a security clearance, and he had to divulge information on everybody that he's ever done more than like tongue kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Josh Randall Disavows gives us $10 and says, I've been marveling at how overtly sexual women are on social media and encouraged they are to do so. I think he means to say they are encouraged to do so. I see one of my guy's friends make a benign sex joke and gets he shadow banned. There's some weird grammar things there, but I got the gist of what you're saying. It's worse. Girls on social media are sexualizing themselves at younger and younger ages. So it's bad. Xeranx gives us $5 and says, it seems Karen wants someone to tell her to stop ranting. So Karen, stop ranting. Please, oh please stop ranting for exactly 1 second.
I will not stop ranting. I will have you know, all of you, that I was invited onto this Rantzerker, and it's called a Rantzerker, so you should expect ranting. But I was invited on. I didn't invite myself here. I didn't charge into Brian's studio and wrestle the mic out of his hands and demand a platform. No, I was asked to be here because I know how to rant. So
yeah, there you go.
There you
All
go.
right, let us play a little more because we got 15 minutes. So 14 minutes.
14.
And attractive women are called Stacys in the incels vocabulary. In 2014, Elliot Rodger was, I would say, the first big case of an incels sympathizer who went on to commit an act of terror.
The nearly 10
Incel sympathizer. The guy who killed more men than women? Okay, Vice, sure. We'll go with that.
10-minute rampage ended with a final gun battle with sheriff's deputies. In the end, Rodger and 6 others were killed.
He became the hero for the whole incels subculture.
What?
So he's still cited.
No,
What?
he didn't become their hero. Although it'd be interesting.
Everybody on Wizard Chan was like, delete everything, shred everything. Every fucking thing, anyone who interacted with this guy, just delete every freaking post where you interacted with this guy. This guy is untouchable now. Just fucking get rid of everything. Because they were like,
clearly he was an incel sympathizer because he didn't get involved and confer with the incel high council before going on this shooting spree and getting their stamp of approval and then posting on the official incel Twitter page and so that they could all make the announcement for the incel lobbyists in Washington that are clearly pushing for the laws to be changed in order to suit the needs of the incel community. No. Like
90% of the people on Wizard Chan were like, oh my god, this is toxic now. If you had any interaction with this guy that is not like you telling him to climb down off the fucking ledge, right? Okay, just delete it because this is not good, right? Like, we're going to get blamed for this even though we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And yes, he was an incel.
Yeah, and they banned like anyone who even jokingly supported Elliot Rodger.
And
they absolutely cleaned house.
I don't think he gave a fuck about any other man but himself.
No.
Like seriously, incel supporter.
Killed 4 men.
Was he out there actually giving support to incels? I think that not, if they were like, no, this guy's insane, right? Here's the thing. If you're going to say somebody supports something, show them that they actually do support them. And god damn, woman, blink.
Well, yeah, no, and he was subscribed to the Young Turks and to Kelly Blue Book.
But that doesn't matter. So again, this isn't about the truth. Go ahead, Alison.
I just want to announce to everybody that this person in the chat has convinced me to stop Honey Badger Radio, to close the doors, to end it, not to go forward with it. And I'm going to release you all, my thralls, into the freedom, because obviously what I'm doing is manipulating and using you all.
Oh, who's that?
It's Egwene Asada. There you go. You got your attention there.
Oh.
Okay.
Anyway, if you want me not to do that, I guess you could continue to give us the resources to continue at feedthebadger.com. If you want to vote for not ending it all, I don't mean that in a suicidal sense. But like not ending the show. Well, I mean, yeah, it's a literal vote for not ending the show. Go to feedthebadger.com. And I would like to thank McGonagals. I hope I haven't doxed you for $10.
Shane McGonigal, he's like one of our that's just his name on YouTube.
Okay, well, thank you, McGonigal, for that $10. And once again, if you want to join McGonigal and all of our other generous supporters in voting to continue to have the show on air, online, even despite the fact that, this isn't what, when I was a kid, when I was a girl, I was 11 and I wanted to be a marine biologist. I didn't actually say to my teacher, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to advocate for men's rights in a podcast. That's not what I wanted for myself, but I feel like this is something that needs to get done. So I do it. There needs to be a voice that calls out all of this stuff and says that men have the right to feel good about themselves. They have a right to their own identity. They have a right to an identity that isn't defined solely in terms of service to women. And that's what I do. And if that means that, well, in Canada, you can't be a charity, you can't run a charity. You literally cannot do that and be political. And because there is a political force out there that insists that men not have a positive identity, that is trying to deconstruct men's identity, either by saying it doesn't exist or what does exist of it is toxic, well, unfortunately, we can't do that. We can either advocate for what has become a politicized viewpoint, which is the right for men to have an identity and not be condemned for social ills and have their issues recognized. This is all considered political in Canada. So I can either advocate for that stuff, or I can do everything else that everyone asks for. Incidentally, if you do want to support a group of people who are doing everything else very well, I suggest going to Cafe. Ooh, I'm going to get shit, aren't I, for saying that?
Well, I won't hear about it, so...
Yeah. I've already got shit for supporting Cafe. But you know what? What matters is that they are doing that support. They still listen to us. We still keep them on the narrow. What is it? The short and narrow in terms of making sure that they put taking care of men first. And we will always do that. Okay, that is my mission. There's not a lot of wriggle room for that mission in the world. Most people don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear that we need to actually consider men and what men need to be able to maintain everyone else. What a surprise. Maybe give Atlas a drink of water every fucking millennia. Okay? Yeah. So that's my position. If you want to see it continue to exist, go to feedthebadger.com so that I can continue to put the hours in to make this all possible. And I will pack up my nihilism. All right, there you go, Brian.
Okay.
Oh,
6 minutes.
6
All
minutes.
Right. Let's play another clip.
His manifesto is still quoted by new perpetrators of the Incels movement.
He posted a 141-page manifesto, mostly blaming women for not having sex with him.
He also published a video.
Yeah, okay. You know what that manifesto did not contain? Because I looked it up on Scribd and I did a bunch of searches. It did not involve a single iteration of the term men's rights activist or men's rights, or MRA. It did not include a single iteration of the word feminism or anti-feminism or any variation thereof. It did not include any of those things. It was a guy he had, I would suggest, malignant narcissism, right? Who believed he was entitled to the hottest women on the planet, right? And was annoyed when he saw more masculine. He considered himself the supreme gentleman, because that's how he was taught to be around women. Be the supreme gentleman. And he wasn't getting any. And the guys who were treating women like they were just, a random hookup, convenient, they were the ones getting laid and by the hot chicks. And
I didn't know that a guy who wants a sexual relationship with a woman also hates women. Here we are.
I know. Well, I think he genuinely came to hate women, right? But he also hated the men who could get laid when he couldn't.
Yeah, he became a misanthrope.
I think he pretty much hated everybody. I would actually include other men. I don't.
Well, yeah, we just said that.
At the very least, those men who weren't able to get sex, I doubt he cared about them in any sense of the word.
Other than the fact that they were standing in his way, because I think the roommates that he stabbed probably weren't getting a whole lot either. Right?
He stabbed his own roommates. That's insane. Like, setting aside all of the strangers he killed, that is one disturbed act.
Yeah, no, he was...
Hurt people.
Yes.
He was
totally.
abused.
He never actually made a proper connection with human beings. It's like we understand that when we are still animals in a lot of ways. When people aren't properly socialized, they get aggressive, especially when they have impulse control problems. Why don't we understand that? And we keep layering all of this political shit all over these problems that does nothing. It's like they take these issues, they take these women that Elliot Rodger killed, they prop them up on a stick and they wave them in people's faces and say, respect these women, respect them, respect what this means. Listen to us.
The 2 women, but not the 4 men.
Well, the 4 men aren't useful for this. You can't shove a sharpened stick up a man's ass and wave it in front of people and get them to do shit. You can only do that with women's corpses. And that's the ideology that respects women. The one that will take women's pain and use it like a fucking cheap whore. Okay.
Oh.
All right, I think we got time enough for one more clip, and then we'll wrap this up. So
yeah.
Mr. Roboto, by the way, gives us $2 and says, "Is it Honey Thrall Radio now, Allison?" Okay, thank you for the super chat.
Yes, you're all my thralls. I've enthralled you.
That he hates all women, that he wants to take revenge on women for not having sex with him. One example of such an inspirational attack is the
but not
Toronto
because they're not having
attacker,
sex with
who in 2008
this is the Alec Manassian thing again. It's
went on to commit
bullshit.
a van attack against pedestrians, and he also posted a reference to Elliot Rodger online in a Facebook post. And most recently, we've of course had the Plymouth shooting in the UK.
Oh God!
The perpetrator was also inspired.
This woman is an appalling human being.
Mm-hmm.
She's like dragging this out, and she's presenting this stuff, and she's not going to actually achieve anything with what she's doing.
No,
she's
she
not going to reduce the
to.
suffering in the world.
No.
She's not going to reduce the misery in the world. She's just going to make people hurt more and justify hurting them more, so they will hurt more. And it's like, and also, would you goddamn blink? Could you, like? Is it that hard? Is it that much to ask that you blink?
You know, when someone doesn't blink, it's one of the red flags.
They might be a robot.
That tells you to look for other red flags that they have antisocial personality disorder or psychopathy.
Yeah. Maybe she'll do you remember that chick on YouTube that she had this really weird like fitness YouTube channel, and she went to the YouTube offices
and shot it up?
Yeah. That chick did not blink. She was friggin' weird. I forgot her name, but she
God, she wore these weird fucking leopard striped leotards and shit. And she performed in front of a green screen with really bad visual effects.
Yeah. That was a unique person. And kind of a interesting example. So, Nazim, yes, Nazim, Saint Nazim is what they're calling her. Yes. well, and the funny thing is that I had to dig that up from my memory because that incident is not politically useful. So like unless you bring it up every so often, Agdam Nazim, you'll forget because it's a woman that went to YouTube and shot it up, and that didn't. I mean, if it was a man, it would be lumped in with these guys. It'd be like the Parkland shooter, right? So, I think that it's 6 o'clock now. So should I play a little bit more of this, or do you want to wrap it up?
No, we're going to be wrapping it up on Wednesday.
We're
doing our final cleanup Wednesday. Yeah,
this is about halfway through. Yeah, that's cool. All right.
I'll do a final check on if we have any thank yous to give out.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah,
just lagging
Naseem
a little.
Agdam. I wonder, her videos were all taken down, right? Because you.
All right, so we do have another thank you to give out. I want to
right.
thank OV Red 01 for $100. So there you go.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's nice.
Let me
Nice
just
of
get this
you,
straight.
OV
You're
Red.
saying that we should organise our societies along the lines of the lobsters.
The lobsters. Let's all become lobster. Let's do the lobster shuffle.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you. I also, I have to give thank you to Egwin Sita. It's always fun when a troll comes in. I think that at the end of the day, I don't think he's convinced me to just end it all. I mean, Honey Badger Radio, I don't mean that in like a suicidal sense. Again, don't worry, don't jump over that. I mean, just, I think I'll continue until I can't, until I finally get banned from the earth.
Yeah, well, and then you'll just go live out in the woods somewhere. Oh, wait, shit, you already do. Never mind.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So,
yeah.
Well, you're out in the plains.
She lives in the middle of nowhere.
It's a flat.
Yeah, no, it's not that flat. There are hills. You lie.
No, there are
Take
not.
that back.
I live in the hills. Now.
We took you to the hill. You saw it. How dare you?
Yeah, I don't know. How many degrees of slant makes it a hill officially, though.
Okay, and also outside of Saskatoon, there is a ski hill, but it was 100% man-made.
Piled up a bunch of rocks.
Yeah, they did. They piled up a bunch of rocks and dirt.
Yeah, I could see it. Yeah. I don't believe you because men don't build anything, Karen. What are you talking? Not even a hill. All right, so I got super chats. Flash the Mystic gives us $5 and says, how do we get a Monday discount for joining? Just kidding. Please don't choke me. Please keep letting your voice be heard. Thumbs up. Thank you, Flash or Fash or Flat. No, Flash the Mystic. Jacobus Peterson gives us $5 and says, for the Badgers of Triacelion from a loyal thrall. Okay.
Jesus.
Thank you for the super chats.
The new thing.
I'm tenting my fingers now.
Yes.
We have thralls, Alison.
Yes, we have thralls.
Oh, like Harvey Weinstein's thralls.
Yeah, not as lucrative.
I am on a drug. It's called Charlie Sheen.
Jesus Christ. Like if I'm going to have the reputation of Harvey Weinstein, I'd certainly like the bank account of Harvey Weinstein. That would be great.
That'd be great. Yes.
Yes, yeah. I think we can all agree that would be great. All right, so thank you guys. Wait, that's your line, Brian. I will say we are still doing our fundraiser. 2 days left. I think we're at 855 now.
Okay.
855. So if you want to help us out, it's at feedthebadger.com. Thank you for everyone who did help us out today. I think we got up to oh my god, I have to do really quick accounting. 300, 400, 500, 560.
Okay.
585. So that's good. It's good for 2 hours work. And it certainly gets us closer to being able to fund Brian, Prim, and Hannah and various other expenses for the month. Yeah, thank you. I think we have another super chat because it's never.
Yes. Chris Hemdon gives us $5, or Herndon, and gives us $5 and says, gets banned from Earth, goes to Mars. Only if Elon Musk is paying. All right, go ahead. That's it for the super chats, or are you done on your end as well? And you want me to wrap?
Yes,
it up?
I'm done.
Okay. So, thank you guys for all of the support. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, and most importantly, please share this video because sharing is caring. And it's always good to see new faces in the chat, regardless of what their views are. So yeah, thank you to all the new people that have joined us, and we hope that we see more of you in the future. It really warms my loins Hang on. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of the Rantzerker. What was that?
The cockles and loins. I have questions. I have questions.
Cockles. It's all the same, Alison.
Yeah,
it's all the same. Loins, cockles.
I don't know why. I wouldn't say cockles. Okay. Thank you guys so much for coming on. We'll talk to you guys in the next video. Have a good one, everybody.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.